expressed on this program are not those of intellectualradio.com, its subsidiaries, or sponsors. Encouraging, educating, and empowering you into action. This is Warriors Talk with your host, Lady Reshell.
Hello. Welcome to Warriors Talk with author and founder Lady Reshell, where we move away from awareness towards action. It is Testimonial Monday, and our topic for today is mental health, a passion to serve. We are live on Intellectual Radio. We just heard from the Drive at 5 with Roman. Keep it locked right here on Intellectual Radio and allow us to feed your brain. On the last episode of Warriors Talk, Reshell and I talked about relationships, how to move from toxic to healthy. If you missed that episode, go over to YouTube and type in Intellectual Radio. Stay connected for any episodes you may have missed. The quote of the day is, "Nothing in this world can torment you as much as your own thoughts." We are grateful for our sponsor. We have Emanuel C.O.G.I.C with Pastor Michael Richardson, who has a special message for us.
Greetings, I am Pastor Michael Richardson.
And I am First Lady Anastasia Richardson from the Emanuel Church of God in Christ. We're located at 3058 West Van Buren in Chicago, Illinois. We are building upon a solid foundation.
And we're inviting you to join us every Sunday morning on Facebook Live at Emanuel C.O.G.I.C at 10:15 Central Standard Time. And you can also view our videos on our YouTube channel at Emanuel C.O.G.I.C-MR. Once again, this is Pastor Michael Richardson
and First Lady Anastasia Richardson, and we are from the Emanuel Church of God in Christ. We are building upon a solid foundation.
Here are your trending topics for today. According to CNN News, U.S. Custom and Borders Protection officers intercepted $339,000 worth of suspected fentanyl. According to an international bridge in Texas, the new release is from CBP. A vehicle attempted to make the entry into the U.S. from the Mexico border Wednesday, but it was inspected and it was actually released. But they found 22 pounds of fentanyl. And fentanyl it can actually be mixed in cocaine or methamphetamines, or we know that it's sold on the streets as well. It could be mixed in with street pills and sold as opioid medicine. There are also racial undertones to fentanyl's epidemic. So from 2019 to 2021, the fentanyl overdose deaths were more than tripled with teenagers. The surge was fivefold among Black teens, they said, according to an analysis from the Center for Disease Control data, and it was produced by the Advocacy for Families Against Fentanyl. Fentanyl is killing Americans at an alarming rate, according to the DEA administration. Annie Milgram, she said that already this year, numerous massive overdose events have taken place. Those are your trending topics for today. If you are tuned in on any form of social media, please like the show, share the show, invite someone else in on the show that you feel may benefit from this valuable information. My special guest today, she attended Eastern Illinois University. She received her bachelor's degree in psychology in 2016. She has always had a passion for serving her community, and she soon realized her passion for mental health upon needing her own needs. She finished her studies at the Chicago School of Professional Psychology and graduated with a master's in clinician mental health counseling in July of 2020. Soon after graduating, she began serving as a school-based clinician for the Community Counseling Centers of Chicago. She is certified as a national counselor and believes that discipline is the key to getting everything you need in life. Welcome to Warriors Talk, Whitney Turner. Hello, Whitney.
Hey, hi everyone.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Awesome. So I know that last month was actually Mental Health Awareness Month, but we know that mental health awareness is 365, 24/7, 7 days a week. Individuals are dealing with mental health. And so I wanted to make sure that I bring you on and that we keep the conversation going about mental health because somebody out there is suffering from mental health. According to statistics, they say 1 in 5 US adults experience mental health each year, and 1 in 6 US youth age 16 through 17 experience mental health disorders each year. So we know that this conversation is important. So, Whitney, did I miss anything when I was introducing you that you want the audience to know about Whitney Turner?
Um, I would say you kind of got everything, except that I am now at Sinai as a trauma-based clinician now out of several clinics that Sinai actually sponsors. Um, so that's where I am working out of now.
Awesome. Well, let's jump right in on the conversation. I know that one of your specialties is dealing with the behaviors disorders. So I wanted to kind of focus on that a little bit, but I wanted you to give me 3 reasons on why you actually wanted to get into mental health, or how did you started studying psychology? I know you mentioned because of your own mental health, but what are some of the other reasons?
I mean, you said 3, correct?
Yes.
Well, the first one, I guess I would say just because I like helping people in general. I always did community service work, working in my church, my school, um, and I'm a part of different Greek organizations like Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. So I've done a lot of community service with them, and also my dance fraternity, Delta Phi Delta Dance Fraternity Incorporated. And they kind of just deal with community service in general. And so I kind of liked anything dealing with helping people. Secondly, I think I would say recognizing the effects of lack of resources or lack of mental health in the community, right? When you grow up or you have these peers and friends, you kind of just think like, oh, they're just a product of their environment, or they were just born like this. And even though some of that is the case, we neglect the fact that it is mental health issues that has gone untreated, or uh, probably not even heard it at all because people don't express it. Um, and then the third one, kind of briefly, what you expressed is because I needed my own. I didn't know what direction I was going in. I'm at my mom's house now, so if I showed you like all the stuff that she had on the wall, which is completely the same from when I was here, the poster above me right here says I was going to be a lawyer. So we see that that's totally opposite of where I am right now. Um, but I kind of went in that direction when I was flip flopping back and forth of what major to be in, and that was stressful. And being in the town I was in with the racial uh, issues that was going on, and I searched for my own mental health, and I was like, "This not it." So I kind of went. It was like, let me study psychology, which definitely was a struggle. Also, I was discouraged to even go in that realm. And even after graduating, for 6 months after with the bachelor's degree, I was like, what do I do now? And even in that depression, I was like, okay, I already got the psychology degree. Let me go in and see, can I get some extra training in how to be an actual therapist? I may know how to listen already, but how do I exercise my listening skills for it to be beneficial to others?
Was there, Whitney, a defining moment, like a light bulb that turned on to say, aha, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do?
I think it wasn't until I was thrown into my intern and probably like the middle of my grad program when I saw it. Because even when I started my master's program, I was like, okay, I'm just doing this because I've been out of school for so long and I need something to do. Um, but it wasn't until I started my intern at Hartgrove and Oak Park Counseling Center. So I worked in an inpatient facility and also an outpatient facility. And I was kind of thrown in the wolf pack, I would say. That didn't have much training, just say, here you go. And so when I start running groups and having my individual clients, and I didn't believe I had any skills to talk to them at that time. But me being genuine and authentic and meeting them where they are and kind of being honest with me, not knowing whatever I didn't know, I saw that that is what was missing out of the therapist I had. I didn't feel that they were being real with me. I didn't feel they were being genuine. I felt like they were trying to read off some logical political words just to sound right. And I may not say all of those words, but when I saw that I was reaching people where they could be reached at, I felt like, okay, this is where I can be.
Do you feel like reaching them or meeting them at that point that you have a better success rate with them than to say, oh no, you're supposed to be up here, why aren't you functioning at this level, versus saying, okay, I see you, I know where you are, and okay, let's just work from here?
Yeah, it's really beneficial. The best advice I heard, I don't know where I heard it from, can't remember, but it was something in the realm of you can't get people to care about what you know until you get them to understand that you care. Um, so if they don't feel like you being real with them or that you care genuinely about what's going on with them, because they're already used to getting told from everywhere else, right, that they should be doing this. That. I'm sorry.
All right, it's a tornado warning.
But yeah, I feel like meeting people where they are is definitely more beneficial. It's like what they preach in the church too, right? To meet them where they are, and as they grow and develop, they come on their own, right? They develop and advance on their own.
That's true. Shonda Hall said, did you work in any other field before you entered this career? It often helps us to understand others.
Mainly, surprisingly, all of my jobs dealt with working with youth. So I knew I wanted to work with youth. Even when I wanted to be a lawyer, I wanted to be one that was for the youth specifically, for the juvenile system. Um, but my first job when I got my work permit was at a daycare. um, my second one was assistant, like student aid. Um, I worked at the Boys and Girls Club, did an intern there also, so I know the background work of finding the mentees and the mentors. Um, I've worked in after school programs, Christian based programs. Breakthrough Ministries is over here, that has homeless shelters for men and women. I recently worked there when I was in my grad program. Um, I worked in home care facilities, so some CNA work. So I know how to deal with the older generation as well. So I've been able to kind of see some behavior patterns directly heads on.
So, what made you gravitate towards the behavior disorders or patterns?
Mm, I would probably say working with kids, or even the elderly population. We kind of just focus on their behaviors, right? Or they yelling, or they can't sit down, or they got this attitude, right? The kids fighting and all of this. But I've never seen too many people sitting them down and saying, "Okay, what's going on? All right, you having a good day? Like, what's going on?" It's usually just trying to discipline the behavior versus the mental part that's probably going along with it.
So, we tend to be reactive versus proactive when it
Mhm.
comes to that. So, can you just describe to us, like, what is behavioral disorders?
So behavioral disorders, they kind of get tricky because they can, coincide with mental disorders. The thing with behavioral is it can be a result of something mental, right? So it can't be caused because of anxiety, right? Because we know if you have anxiety, of course you're going to shake. Of course you may have a habit of biting your nails or whatever, right? We know the normal actions that go with it. Um, but the behavioral disorders, they come from genetics, and those can be examples of ADD. Um, let's see another one. Gambling actually is a behavioral disorder. All of those addictions, sex addiction, gambling addiction. Um, what are another one? Some people try to like put bipolar and schizophrenia in there, but they are mental disorders. They are not behavioral, because those behaviors that come with that disorder makes sense, right? So alcoholism, that's a behavioral disorder. So anything um
Like
mal, mal
substance abuse, would that be one too? Like drugs, because that
yes,
goes along with alcohol. Like
yes.
something that's like disruptive,
Mm-hmm.
because it goes with it's a behavior. Okay.
Yeah, so it has to be where it's disrupting your life, right? So if the person that's drinking or gambling, and they're just doing that, periodically, we wouldn't call that a disorder. But if they have to do it, right? If it's something that is going to cause some stress if it isn't taking place, then that's when we'll label it a disorder.
No, you said that it was the behavior disorder. Is it hereditary? Is it something that happens from trauma?
Sometimes even survival, right? Gambling addictions start from needing to survive, right? Oh, I'm just going to do this really quickly because I need my finances. And then they get this thrill and they're like, let me keep doing it. Um, and drinking definitely is hereditary, right? Depending on how much of a parent or a mother would do it while pregnant, definitely plays a part in how that child may come out, right? And it may not even get triggered to years down the line, and this child is wondering, why am I so receptive to alcohol or these drugs? And that is because of that.
How long, Whitney, does it take like for someone to be diagnosed with behaviors disorder? Is it like right away? Like is it you're checking off so many boxes from the different things that they do? Like how long does it take to say, yeah, that person has a behavior disorder?
Typically for me, uh, now according to the book, they will say as young as maybe 12, maybe even 11 or 10, depending on some things. But me, I like to kind of give the child a little bit more room than that. So since I've started my career, I would say how my paperwork is done is probably not what the government that pays these bills of their insurances will like, because I keep them waiting on the diagnosis. But that's only because with our population, right, they are fearful of being diagnosed for many reasons. Jobs, many opportunities in the community. I've had clients like, I won't be able to get this position, right, if I have a diagnosis. So I really want to make sure that I'm not just diagnosing people quickly, even if it is for the insurance's benefit. Um, but we're seeing, well, what I've been seeing since being in the field, that kids are diagnosed as early as 7 years old with ADHD, and 9 times out of the 10, it's just a 8-year-old and a 7-year-old that's trying to get this energy out, because they're in the house locked up and mom don't take them outside or spend time with them. So it's kind of tricky when it comes to when can we diagnose, because a lot of these are just throw it away diagnoses, I would say.
Do you feel, Whitney, like some of the diagnoses are delayed because of how, a 7 or 8-year-old may act, and you may think, oh, it's typical behavior, and then down the line, like, no, that's not typical.
Mm-hmm. Those are cases that happen too. I think when it comes to it, if you have a parent that is very involved in their treatment, then those clients are usually the ones that are diagnosed correctly. But if you have a parent that's not really telling you accurately how their behavior is, or what causes their behavior, what triggers it, what happened during the time, was you around when this behavior happened, right? If they're just coming to you telling you that the teacher told me Billy was running around, then those diagnoses are usually going to be kind of off.
Do you think that some parents are just like dismissive, like, no, not my child, or they just really don't know?
I think both, because unfortunately, I've witnessed both. I witnessed ones that is just, unknown to the possibilities of it. Just need some education on it, and they're willing to get it. But I've had parents that's just dismissive, like, um, my kid not crazy, even though that doesn't mean crazy, right? This is just the word they use when they hear mental health or therapist or whatever. Um, and then you have some parents that want you to diagnose them, their kids with it because of financial reasons, right? Social security, right? So they will come to you and be like, Billy was like this, and he's off the wall. He's like this. And he very well may have a real diagnosis. But he's not getting the real treatment because the parent is just sending him to therapy for that check.
Wow. Shonda Hall says startup and survival. Yep, she agrees with that. She also said, do you see postpartum often in neighborhoods?
I wouldn't say people diagnose it as that, I would say. Have people came in my field mostly with that diagnosis? No. Have I seen it myself and was like, okay, this is what you should have been diagnosed with? Yes. I don't think that is something people are well educated on. I think they're trying to when it happens to them. But before it happens, right before people are mothers or before fathers even experience having kids, I don't think they even pay attention to that, right? They're just assuming the woman flipping out, or they're just dealing with regular stress and they're not really taking it serious. So when it comes to postpartum, it is kind of tricky because it's not really diagnosed as much, especially not in the mental health. It's usually diagnosed at their PCP and then brought down to the therapist.
Okay, so she made a correction. She said in our neighborhood. So she wants to know, do you see postpartum like in our neighborhoods being diagnosed often?
Being actual diagnosed? No. Should they be? Yes.
Because I think a lot of people, a lot of women may just try to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
They may feel like, oh yeah, this is just a part of it. It comes along with it and it'll pass. And then, 6 months down the line, it's still there. It's still lingering over them and it hasn't passed. So, yeah.
I've had clients that's, at their third kid and they're like, okay, I've been dealing with this and now it's heavy for real on this third kid.
Wow. Kenya said this is a great topic. She also says, I doubt it. I believe the Black and brown communities get overlooked.
Yeah, they do. Because like I said, they're not going to label it as that, right? They're going to label it as the parent wasn't fit for this kid at the moment, or they just have lack of resources, or things of that nature. In this community, they're not going to say, oh, it was postpartum. They want to give every other label it is possible.
So there are so many different terms that goes under the behavioral disorder. It's like an umbrella term, right? And then there's so many that goes under there and so many different, like it's broken up into different departments when it comes to trying to diagnose someone with behavioral disorders. One of my questions was, do you feel like it's diagnosed more in men or is it diagnosed more in women when it comes to behavioral disorders?
I'm going to say women simply because they show up more to therapy. I've been getting more men lately in these past years since the pandemic. But naturally, women are the ones coming to therapy. I can count the men therapists also, almost. We need more men therapists out here. When I went to my grad school, the Chicago School of Psychology downtown, I can count the men I saw in that school, literally. I can count the male teachers I had. So it's not really that many men, even in the field, which is why I think a lot of men don't go, because I'm pretty sure they would want a male therapist, a male figure. Yeah.
That's a great point that you just brought out, because we know that it takes a lot for a man to go and get checked up at the doctor. We have to push them and be like, oh, babe, go to the doctor, get checked out. A lot of times they wait until, they're feeling symptoms from something before they go and get checked out. So it's understandable that if they're not going to get checked out physically, mentally, it's just like, oh, there's nothing really going on. And people want to see people that look like them when they go and get help. So if it's nobody, like you said, if it's nobody there that looks like them, then 9 times out of 10, they're going to feel like, whoever is there is probably going to mishandle me. They're not going to treat me right.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so that's a great point. Whitney, have you found that more African American people or individuals are being diagnosed with behavioral disorder versus any other races from your experience or from just your education?
Yes, I think the minority population itself, even my, Latino group, they are definitely diagnosed more, um, because they're the most trauma affected populations. Um, and so instead of looking at it as this is trauma, they're going to look at it as this is behavioral disorders. This is, oh, they got to be labeled, right? What I found out is people want answers because it makes sense to them. So when they, even if they don't have the correct answer, if they hear an answer, they're satisfied. Um, so yeah, I think it's just much easier on the minority population to say we got all these disorders when it's really just trauma, PTSD, right? They're really dealing with all, revisiting of all of this trauma that they probably remembering years later.
Shonda Hall says we need more brown therapists. Cultural differences matter. It really does.
They
It
do.
really does. I think, Whitney, like when you have somebody of the other race, like pointing a finger at you, like something's wrong with you, you need help, you need to take this medicine. Like, I think, some people may take offense to it versus you have someone there that looks like you. For some reason, you feel like they understand you because they look like you, and you're more susceptible to take their advice and do what they say. So
Hmm.
I think that's important.
I've had clients comfortably say that. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. Lisa Adams said this is a great topic and it needs to be discussed more. I totally agree. I totally agree. One of the questions, Whitney, I had was when it comes to barriers for behavior disorders, what type of barriers do you see that may be in place that may be stopping individuals from getting the help that they need or maybe just getting diagnosed?
Hmm.
And I know one of them you mentioned was the parent. That's one.
I think maybe insurance, maybe. Um,
Underinsured or just maybe
yeah,
underinsured, no insurance. Okay.
which is why I kind of like the program that I work under. I work under a trauma informed TIC, trauma informed center for clinicians, and what it is basically a grant based program. So I do work for Sinai, but I work under a grant, which is a benefit to my clients because if they don't have insurance with Sinai, they can get still seen with me under the grant, and it'll be billed under the grant. So insurance definitely is a huge barrier because a lot of them don't have it, or some clinicians, depending on their license, can only see specific uh, clients from their insurances. So one therapist may can see PPO, the other one can only see Medicaid, the other one can only see Medicare, right? So those is a lot of barriers. And it's like when you find a therapist that you actually like, what if they don't accept your insurance and now you got to start all over? Um, Another barrier I would say is probably transportation. So I'm kind of happy that the telehealth world is now existing, which is a good chunk of my population, because they can't get there. Um, so it's good that telehealth is there. But what makes it still a barrier is because some people still want that in person feel. Um, so then they really don't prefer the telehealth, and so that kind of leaves them in limbo. Um, let's see, another one maybe their family. I've had clients that say they want to go to therapy and they have people that is against it and do what they can to jeopardize them getting to those sessions. Um, so I've had clients that I lost because they said they got cut off, right? Uh, they were threatened to not come anymore, or will be disowned or kicked out of their living situations if they come or continue. Um,
Do you feel, I'm sorry, do you feel like that's because as African Americans, we still don't really believe in the counseling aspect of health? Because that's part of your health, but your mental health is just as important as your physical health. And when they're not balanced, you're not healthy.
I think they definitely lack that. I think they're still stuck in the realm of, what stays at happens at home stays at home. People still trying to have family secrets. Honestly, they ain't ready for that to come out. I think that's pretty much the case. Or I've still heard people saying, I go to church, right? A lot of people use that. I'll just pray, but they've been praying for years. So.
Yes, God put professional people here that study, this information so that they'll be able to help you. Just like he has the surgeons that are skilled in, performing surgery. You need these people, you need to get help. So yeah, going to church and having people to pray for you, that's fine, but you have to take some action behind, them praying for you. The scripture said faith without works is dead. So if you're not doing anything after that, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah.
Yes. If you are just tuning in right now to Warriors Talk, we are live on Intellectual Radio, and we're talking to Whitney Turner. She is a certified national counselor, and we're talking about mental health, a passion to serve. We're going to take a quick break, and I just want to recognize one of my sponsors, who is Paula Kelly with Allstate. And Paula Kelly is one of my sponsors. She's been a sponsor for, I want to say over 3 years now. She is a breast cancer survivor. She contributes to our annual events every year. So she's located at 327 East Glenwood Road in Lansing, Illinois. And you can reach her at 708-758-3300. And when you go, tell her that Warriors Talk sent you. Let me repeat her address. It's actually 327 East Glenwood Lansing Road in Glenwood, Illinois. She specializes in home, auto, life insurance, and she has quality insurance from a person that has integrity. So give Paula Kelly a call and make sure you tell her that Warriors Talk sent you. All right, so if you're joining us live on Intellectual Radio, we're talking to Whitney Turner, and we're talking about mental health, a passion to serve. So, we cover so much information right now. So if you did not get it, I'm going to encourage you to be kind and rewind. Mm-hmm. So what I wanted to talk about right now, I just want to jump into basically the children, because I know that you worked at the school. And I just want to know, what are some of the behavior disorders that you've seen come across a lot from individuals that you dealt with or that you seen?
Quite frankly, the most I've seen before coming into the field, you would probably just see them just overactive, right? But when I got into my intern and they gave me this whole list of clients to call, and I look next to the kids' names, the most diagnoses I will see kids with are ADHD, and I cannot think of this other one, but I'm really thinking it's deficient. Disruptive deficient behavioral disorder. And what is this other one?
Is it dissociation? Is that one of them? Dissociation? Would that be one?
They're barely diagnosed that I've seen those. I think the main two that I am thinking of right now is the main ones. They're going to diagnose every kid with ADHD, quite frankly, and disruptive behavioral, because if a kid gets loud in the classroom, they can't sit down, they disrupting, they blurting out stuff, they're going to automatically get that.
Do you feel like some kids have been misdiagnosed?
I do.
Or underdiagnosed?
Underdiagnosed, yes. Because they're either not being brought there if they're underdiagnosed. But usually the ones that's brought in, those are the ones that I feel personally, and this is personally because I've worked as a school clinician also and had to touch base with teachers and social workers. 9 times out of 10, it's a teacher or a principal or a social worker that's kind of fatigued at this student at a point, and they just over it. And the best way to get extra help for this kid is to put them in the school psychologist, get them diagnosed. Now they got a therapist. Now they get it out of class for an hour because they going to their group session over here, right? So a lot of what these kids deal with is parents and teachers tired of dealing with their behaviorals, and they just getting tossed over to the therapist, which is kind of easier.
Have you ever had a parent that said, no, that's not my child, and I'm not going to allow y'all to put this label on my child?
No.
Really?
No. Usually when that's coming in, they okay with it. If they coming in, they okay with it. Now, if they're forced to come in, and I haven't seen too many of that. Usually that's around the age of 14, 15 when they're court mandated. I haven't got any mandated youth any younger than that.
Kenya said, what they don't realize is that you are harming the person because they are not getting the adequate help they need to succeed in life. She also says, a lot of teachers are not equipped to deal with overactive kids.
They not. I've seen it. I've witnessed it. They just either gonna let them play around, they gonna sit down and let them tire themselves out, or they yell at them. Now the kid mad. Now they reacted to that when all they was doing was just playing. Now they mad and playing. So it's just all bad.
What do you feel, Whitney, that we're missing in the community as it relates to serving that population?
I think more training on how to deal with mental health, especially if when we want to get to talk about the police, right, and how they react when they pull someone over or when they talking to kids just on foot. I think more training in general in each profession. It should be some type of basic training for mental health. Even supervisors at these jobs, right? Because it's a lot of adults that need time off. They can't even, like, even my clients, they having a hard time even with me writing a letter for them. The supervisor don't care about, oh, you were depressed yesterday. The supervisor don't care about that. So I think everywhere people need to be educated better because they will handle it better. It wouldn't sound so crazy when an employee coming up to you saying, I need some time off because my mental just ain't been there. We shouldn't look at them like, then you shouldn't work. Like, that's usually how a lot of supervisors will react. Then you shouldn't work. This is a job, right? Or we can replace you, is whatever it is. Just more training, I think, is missing.
I agree with that. My daughter is in high school, and they have it to where they can call in for a mental health day and they don't get penalized, for their attendance for it. And so some days she'll wake up and she'll say, Mom, can you call me in? Make sure you say it's a mental health day. And I thought that was great because I'm like, the kid, they're overwhelmed. They're doing a lot, in school. Some of them are working, a lot of them are on sports, and just the stress of it all, you have to deal with. They should be able to take a mental health day and not be penalized.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree.
Lisa said she believes in taking mental health days with an S.
Me too. I'm glad I'm in my profession. My supervisors know off back.
Kenya said, I think the teachers need to make the kids a teacher's aide that will keep them more engaged and less anxious. That's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They usually provide those in the special needs classes, but they should be in all of them. Yeah.
How do you foster trust when it comes to individuals to get them to open up about their needs, about issues? Like, what type of atmosphere do you set for them to open up?
Well, I usually start by saying, that I don't force you to open up because I don't. Wherever you want to start, it is, you can start by, today I ate some chicken and it was a good day. I really don't care. If you want to dwell on a good moment you had, let's dwell on that. Um, so I kind of just go with that, letting them feel comfortable that I'm not going to make you say anything. Because I've had therapists that's just going to probe and probe, right? If the person said they cool and don't want to talk about it, then they're okay. And I think when a person see that you're not rushing them to open up or forcing it, then they kind of want to do it on their own. Also, self-disclosure is kind of what I noticed, so they can feel that they can relate to you. So I think that's a big one for sure.
Yeah, because I think when they feel like you're up here and I'm down here, they're like, they don't want to disclose too much. But yeah, when they feel like, oh yeah, okay, they connect with you on some type of way, whether it be like, oh, we like to say movies, or they see something in your office that they may like, and it just opens the gate so they can, open up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that. Lisa says, my manager has never heard of that, but now he does.
Good.
He does it too. She said he does it too. So she got him taking mental health days too.
Oh, good.
You need it. I'm serious. You need it. What type of plans, Whitney, do you have, or things do you have in place to replenish yourself to keep you from getting burnt out from just, dealing with all of these different types of behaviors and individuals?
Well, one, I've learned to do what I've been telling my clients to do. And that is open up to people that are willing to listen. Not everyone, of course, because there's some people that just want to listen so they can go and they spread it, right? But learning who you can open up to is something I've been getting comfortable with. I make sure I get my feet and nails done consistently. Very much consistently. That's something that makes me smile. I like getting my locks done and putting jewelry in it. That makes me smile. I take walks. I like being outside, so it's the summertime. Being outside and in that sun definitely is helpful. Some vitamin D. Just getting some air, taking walks. And I'll blast some gospel music, so.
Yes. What would you say to someone who may have a family member and they feel like, they have these issues going on and it's way beyond their control that they can't handle, to encourage them, to help them to get some help?
I think the best way is to be a mirror. Or a model, I would say. The best way to teach a person boundaries is by enforcing your own. The best way to show self-care and balance is by creating it, right? So if a kid is seeing you stressful and you like, okay, I need a break. So mom's going to take a break. Then they're going to learn, I need a break, right? I saw you said you need to take a break. I need to take a break. So I think the best way is by being that person, so they can see it, so they can see how it look. Because if you're telling them, look, you need to do this and that, all they're going to hear is you giving out a list of orders versus you saying, look, this is what I do when I feel sad. Or maybe, if they see you actively doing it, then that kind of makes them like, okay, I see that you're human too, and you're not just, trying to tell me what to do. Another thing is to just listen, and not always have to have an answer to it, right? I think us as people like to be problem solvers, and I do find myself trying to be that therapist sometimes. It's like, okay, I just want to fix it. It just seems so stressful for you. Let's just fix it. But sometimes they don't need that. They just need you to listen, let them get it out. Sometimes they process it through on their own.
So yeah, sometimes when you hear it, as you're telling it, you're like, So, listen, don't listen to respond, but, allow them just to get it out. Sometimes as women, I know as women, a lot of times when we talking to our man, we don't even want him to fix it. We just want to get it out. So, yeah, when he hear it, he like, okay, what can I do? What can I do? It's like, no, I just want you to just listen. That's all I want you to do. Lisa says self-care and relaxation is refreshing and it allows you room to think.
It does.
Clear that head.
When I'm getting my nails done, I show you.
So I want to talk about some myths and some facts. I have a couple of them as we wrap up. So some myth and facts as it relates to behavioral disorders. So one of them is, and you let me know, Whitney, if it's a myth or a fact, people who suffer from behavioral disorders are harmful.
People that suffer from behavioral disorders are harmful?
Yes.
I'm gonna say that's false. I'm gonna say that's false.
Okay. Why would you say it's false?
We never know. When you have a mental disorder, you may say or do stuff that you're not necessarily trying to do. Right? You may rub people the wrong way, and you're not trying to. You're just trying to maneuver through what you're going through, and you hurting other people's feelings indirectly or directly. And you may or may not care. So that's why I said it.
Okay. Yep. They said that normally they're not harmful. All right. So the next one is a myth or fact. Medication will cure the problem immediately for behavioral disorders.
Oh, false. False.
Why?
If it is behavioral, yeah, no, I'm not gonna say for behavioral. Maybe a mental health issue, maybe like bipolar, schizophrenia. They hurry up and get they shots, their monthly shots or whatever. That may work immediately. But if it's a mental disorder, I don't see no medicine hurrying up clearing someone's depression. Or no, it may help them balance their thoughts a little better, but it's not gonna just cure those type of disorders.
Yep, that's a myth. All right, the next one, this is the last one. It says, it's a fact or a myth. People with mental health issues, even those who are managing their mental health illness, cannot tolerate stress or even holding down a job.
Say it one more time.
People with mental health needs, even those who are managing their mental health illness, cannot tolerate stress or even hold down a job.
False.
We know we may be working with somebody who has been diagnosed with a mental illness or a behavioral disorder and they're functioning.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I know people with, actual autism and, low cognitive, just working fantastic jobs, right? The supervisors. So, yeah, it's false.
Wow. So give us some advice, Whitney, for someone who may want to start a career as a certified national counselor. Give them some type of career advice on what to do.
I would say to take every experience as experience to it. I've worked in the financial aid office of my school for 4 years when I got my bachelor's. That still plays a part. When you see those kids coming in there stressed and depressed because they ain't got their money, right? So I would say to use every experience as examples of what people can deal with. We go to the grocery store and we see the people mad and laugh for no reason and they want to be mean, right? There's so many opportunities to analyze the behavior patterns and of people and kind of think, why are they like this, right? We can't possibly think that people in the world just walk around mad for no reason and walk around frowning for no reason or discouraged and a pessimist for no reason. So I think looking at people as people first would be beneficial to anybody wanting to work as a counselor. Because if you are unable to look at people as a person and they're normal, they're going to experience ups and downs